Video is going to show you an overview or a demo of Access Grader Project 1. And so what I'm going to do is just go ahead and get started with the files. Just as a setup for you, you would need to have already logged in to D2L and logged into your MyLabIT account, and then you would just go to your Grader projects, and that's what I'm doing here. So I'm going to scroll down and we're going to do Access Grader Project 1 or Access Chapter 1 Grader Project together. Now, the first thing that you always need to do, of course, is to download your starting materials. Before you do this, I would recommend that you watch the video on using your P drive or your personal drive with the university, because I don't want you to just download this file and start working with it immediately. I want you to make sure it's saved in your P drive, so if for some reason you need to come back to it later, it is there and ready for you. So that's the first thing we're going to do. We'll come back and get the instructions file in a moment, but we're going to hit download here, and it's going to show up down here. Now, the easiest way that I have found to get this into the P drive or the personal drive is to click this little arrow that points up and go to show in folder, and that's going to show us in the file manager. Now you'll notice over here on the left side, there's my P drive, and yours might need to be extended or something. Like if it's over like this, you might want to drag that so that you can see it. But here you'll see your username and then the letter P. So what you're going to do is here in your downloads, where it just, downloaded that file, you're going to click it and drag it and just let go to drop it right in your personal folder. So that's what we're going to do. Boom, right there. Okay, and now when I click on my personal drive, there it is. So that is actually where I'm going to open it from in order to work on it. Now, I also, at this point, am going to have to go back to my Google Chrome down here, and I've got to get the instruction file, which is a Word document. And you might want to do the same thing with that if you don't think you're going to finish the file. But that's not quite as important. The instruction file you can go back and download over and over. But if you don't save this file, then you will lose whatever work that you have done if you have to log out. And by the way, this little keyboard up in the corner, don't worry about that. You don't have to have that. That's just something I use as an accessibility feature. So I will use that, but you don't need it. All right, so now I have my file and I have my instructions. But remember, don't open the file from here. Open it from your P drive, which I've already done. So at this point, all I need to open is my Word document with my instructions. And what I'm going to do to make this easier to see is enable editing, and I'm going to go under view and make this page width. I just find that that's easier for the purpose of these instructions. All right, so we're going to start access and open the downloaded access file. And so that's what we've done here. It gives you the name and it automatically plugs in your name. Now you might be thinking, okay, Payne, that's not your name, but that actually was my maiden name. So my account here was created before I was married, and it's just never changed. So this is actually my file. Okay. All right, so the first step in Access Chapter 1 Grader Project after opening it is to open the agents table in Datasheet view. Okay, I like to take it literally one sentence at a time, or one portion of a sentence at a time. If there's multiple instructions all in one sentence, it just makes it easier. So we're going to go to the file, and we're going to open the agents table in Datasheet view. And right now there's not much to see, but it is what it is. All right, now it says to add the following records, letting Access assign the agent ID number. Okay, now if you have read the e-textbook along with this, like you typically should have, then you'll know that the agent ID is going to be a primary key that's assigned to each person. Okay, but we're just going to fill in this data, and to make it as quick as possible, I'm going to copy and paste. I don't recommend that you necessarily do that, but in this case, it's going to work better. So I'm just going to copy and paste all of this information, into the database. And if you want to work along, this would be a great time to do that. And if you're wondering if you can just copy and paste it all at one time, that would not be a good idea. Microsoft Access is quite different from Microsoft Excel in some ways, so certain things don't work the same, but it's okay. We'll get there. This is a little bit longer. It's a little trickier to copy, but hey, we'll get it. All right, now that we have all the data typed in to the datasheet view, that's great. And you'll see that we move on to step number 3, which is to sort the agents table by the last name field in ascending order. That means of alphabetical order from A to Z. Okay, so sort by last name in ascending order. So we're going to go here to the last name column. And there's a few ways to do it, but this is what I think is the shortest way. You just click the little arrow, go to sort A to Z, and now all of a sudden the agents or the individuals are in alphabetical order by last name. Okay, now we go to the next instruction, which is to apply a selection filter so that everyone with a title other than agent in training displays. In other words, we're filtering out agent in trainings, but we're letting everyone else stay. And then we'll save the changes and close the agents table. But like I said, I like to do one part at a time. All right, so a selection filter. What that means is that I go here and I'm going to select the agents in field, you know, one of the records that has an agent in training, because that's what we want out. Okay, and then up here under selection, see, this is the sort and filter section. So we go to selection and we want does not equal. Remember, we want to filter them out. So we say does not equal agent in training. And you'll see that all of a sudden now all we see are the individuals that are not agents in training. Now we can toggle that filter on and off, but it doesn't really ask us to do that. That's just a freebie. All right. And now we go to the next step, which is to save the changes to the table design and close the agents table. So we go here and we're going to just X out right here. And it's going to ask if we want to save the changes. So we say yes. Now we move to the next step, number 5. All right, we're going to open the properties table in design view. Okay, let's just go ahead and do that. Now when you open the table automatically, it's going to be in datasheet view, but it specifically states it wants it in design view. So we go up here to the view and go to design view, and now we are given access to the information about the table. So it wants us to change the data type for the specified fields. So in this case, we want date listed to be a date or time. Well, that makes sense. That's logical. So we go to date listed, the data type, instead of short text, we're going to change it to date time. The next one is list price. That should be currency. That, again, is a logical change. So we're going to go to currency. All right. Then square feet should be a number. So we go to square feet. That's a number. And bedrooms and bathrooms, as well as agent ID. Those are all supposed to be set to number. So bed, bath, agent ID. Okay, so we go over here. There's beds. We change that to number. We go to baths. Change that to number. And then agent ID, which is likely going to be that agent's license number. That's going to be a number as well. Okay. The next step says to save the changes and then view it in datasheet view. All right. So we are here. We're going to save changes. It says yes. It's asking you some things that, but we're just going to say yes because it said to. And then the next thing it says is to view it in datasheet view. So we're going to go here to view and change to datasheet. And now we see all of our information with the changes that we made. Okay. Now, in the next step, it wants us to sort the records in the properties table by list price from largest to smallest. Not smallest to largest. So it's not ascending, it's descending this time. So we're going to sort the properties table by list price from largest to smallest. So we go here. Here's list price. And we're going to sort largest to smallest. And that means that our most expensive properties are here. And then we go down to the least expensive properties here. All right. So we've done that. Now we're going to create another filter. It's going to be the filter by form. And we want to create a filter that will identify all properties with a list price less than $300,000 with 2 bedrooms. So those are our specific criteria. A price less than $300,000 with 2 bedrooms. Okay. So in order to do that, we're going to come back to this table, and up here in the filter section, we're going to go to filter by form. That's what it wants us to do. And then for the list price, it wants us to do, I'm going to type it in. So we're going to do less than 300,000. And then it wants specifically 2 bedrooms. Okay. And then once we do that, we will toggle the filter on. And there are the properties that meet those criteria. These are all under $300,000 with 2 bedrooms. All right. Then it says close the table and save the changes because we've already applied the filter and previewed it. So we're going to close the table. We're going to save it. And then we move to the final step, which is to close all database objects. In this particular case, we've already done that. And then we'll close the database and exit access and submit the database. So we'll go here, make sure everything, as long as this section is empty, that means that everything's closed. So now we're going to close the database. We'll close Microsoft Access. And then we're going to go back to our submission screen. Click on Choose File. And this time we will, if it's not already selected, then we'll look over here in the side and we're going to find our P drive, which is always going to start with your username. And then you find the file that you worked on, which is here. And then you, of course, upload it like all the other assignments you've done. And then you submit for grading. Now, it is my experience that the Access files take a little bit longer. It's still an automatically graded feature, but it does take a little bit longer. So you just have to be patient for that to show up. And then once you do get your grades, you can always go into your grade book and locate that grade. Okay? If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me.